As we began last week, this week we are continuing the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to be getting into some of the challenging things in the next few weeks, but today's challenge might just simply be that Jesus is saying this as something that he considers already true. It isn't like you should do this. You should be light. You should be salt. No, Jesus says to those who are listening, you are. And maybe your reaction would be similar to mine. No, you are, Jesus. You're light. You say that in John's gospel, I am the light of the world. Why are you saying that about me? And perhaps some of you might say, well, no, somebody else in the parish really is that. It's not me. I'm salt and I'm light. Yes, Jesus says, you are. So then you think, okay, but so then what does that mean? If I'm supposed to be light, I can understand my actions might, drive out some darkness somewhere. I can see that. What's the deal with the salt? I'm supposed to flavor the world. Like when I come to a party, the party's better. Liven it up. So salt got used a number of different ways in Jesus' day. Primarily it was a preservative. It kept things from getting rotten because they didn't have refrigerators. So it was a way of preserving food. So he might be saying that your job is to keep the world from getting rotten. So it could be that. Could be adding flavor, because they did add salt to things to make it taste better. But here's one that I learned when I was in Israel, and I don't know if if it's an image that you'd want, but on the farms, there's not a whole lot of wood in Israel, so a source of fuel was the droppings of the animals, and they'd mix it with salt, so then it would dry out, because otherwise it just turns to dust. It's worthless. So they'd put the salt in the manure and make fuel out of it. Then they could burn it. And perhaps you might think, yeah, that's my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm kind of in that pile. And but just to think, your presence, then, you create energy by what's around you may not be the nicest thing, but your very presence makes it possible to bring light, fire, energy. You are, in Jesus' mind, salt, either as a preservative or as a fuel or as a flavoring. But no matter which of those it is, it changes things. And you might think, well, but Jesus, my role in life is really small. I don't make that much of an impact. So here's just my own personal reflection, but as I've gotten older, I need it darker and darker to sleep at night. And maybe some of you have this same experience. And just that little bitty light on something can drive me crazy. Like if I'm in a hotel room and there's all these little lights everywhere, and I think, and I'm getting up and trying to block that light so I can sleep. I think, it's a little bitty light. But just that little bitty light makes a huge difference. So I'd like to encourage you today not to ignore what Jesus is saying, but to accept it. He says you are. You are salt and you are light wherever you are and whatever you're doing. You are. It might simply be a little thing, but that little action might make a huge difference in the life of somebody else. And then realize that that action, as Jesus tells us in the gospel today, is not for your glory. We really can't pat ourselves on the back. If we're doing it well, if we're being disciples of Jesus well, then they'll realize it's for God's glory, not ours. The praise will go where it belongs, to God. So be salt, be light, accept what Jesus gives us, whatever it is, and then they'll praise God for you.